Hi guys! Welcome to Brioche 101. I just want to talk a little bit in general about brioche knitting and the difference between that and regular knitting. So you have a little bit of an idea on the anatomy of a brioche stitch if you want. So when you're looking at your brioche knitting, it basically looks like a very textured, deeply textured rib. And that's essentially what you're doing. It's just a funky version of a rib. Or at least that's how it feels when you're doing it with the continental knitting style, like I knit. But one of the fundamental differences between ribbing or knitting in any sort of way and brioche is that in brioche knitting, you'll always have one stitch column that has this yarn over paired with it. These are considered one stitch. So the yarn over and its knit stitch here, on the wrong side, it will be a yarn over and its purl stitch. Like if you turn over here, you can see that. So the yarn over and its knit stitch are considered one stitch. So when you're counting your stitches on a row, unlike lace knitting or any time you have a yarn over on your knitting on the needle when you count it, here it is counted together with its partner. So let's say we're counting from here to over there. That actually means you're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. So you notice how I count the knit column stitch, the knit stitch with its yarn over, that is considered, that's a bark. That is your brioche knit stitch. That is one unit. You're always counting those together. Those are not to be separated. They're always going to be together. They're like best friends. So remember, when you're looking at your brioche knitting, the yarn over always goes with its stitch and it's counted as one stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 again. And you're always, since they're together, you're always working them together. You're never separating them. So as you're coming across this knit row here, you're going to brioche knit, which means you're knitting the brioche stitch, which is the knit stitch and a yarn over, together here. And then we have slip one yarn over, bring the yarn forward, I'm slipping the stitch, yarn over the needle, and then I'm brioche knitting again. That's the knit stitch with its yarn over. Slip one yarn over. And I'm brioche knitting again. Both these loops on your needle are considered one stitch and they're knitted in one shot. Slip one yarn over, brioche knit. And you go all the way across the row, slip one yarn over, brioche knit on the knit part of your row. That's working half the stitches, as you've noticed, because the other half are slipped. These ones here, the purl stitches are slipped. So when I'm going across the row again with my orange yarn, with my second yarn, I'm going to brioche purl and then slip. And so it keeps going back and forth. Basic anatomy. So another general brioche discussion here. We're again on the wrong side of Lita, but it'll apply to any worked brioche, any brioche flat. So think of it as you're trying to establish balance and fairness in your knitting. You have, when you look at your stitches and you have more turquoise stitches, you want to even it out by making more stitches with the orange. So that's the yarn you're going to be working with. Also, when you're looking at the stitches and you can see that some of them have a partner and the other ones are by themselves, you want to be fair, and the next time around you want to give the ones who are by themselves a partner by slipping them with a yarn over and working the other ones together. Like that might help you remember. Another thing that I think can be confusing for people starting to knit brioche is those yarn overs tend to, depending on how tight or how loose you knit, they might look like they belong to the purl stitch or the knit stitch, or you can't always tell where they belong to. There's always a mixed pair. So your yarn over will always be the opposite color as the stitch that it belongs to when you do two-color brioche. So on here, even if they're like totally together, you can tell once you pull them apart, when you turn it over, which one it belongs to. Here it belongs to that knit stitch. but also it can't belong to this one because it's the same color, and it can't belong to the other one in case it slipped over top here. Sometimes that happens. It can't belong to this one because it's also the same color. So it always, your yarn over is always going to go with the stitch that's the opposite color. And just remember, fairness, there's more turquoise stitches. You're going to be working with the orange, trying to add more orange to it to give it balance. And if one stitch already has a yarn over partner, you're going to make partners for the other stitches to keep it fair and balanced. I hope my little anecdote helps you.